Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas. Heat Beat Postgame Show. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas. And with me today is a sad and upset producer and co-founder, Brian Goins.
Jimmy Butler needs to get his max contract to Goran Dragic.
Also joining us today, Brian's on my left. On the bottom, you can see friend of the show, Heat Beat. I don't even know what to call you, Kevin. You're like honorary Heat Beat at this point. Kevin,
essentially.
Kevin? On the bottom left, you can see our statistician and pun master, Nekias, Duncan.
Hello.
So that was not good. Miami absolutely fumbles their most critical, important quarter since 2016, probably even before that. I mean, that was a chance to etch themselves into special history. Eric Spoelstra would have been, I think, the fourth most winningest conference title coach of all time, behind like Steve Kerr, Red Auerbach, Pat, and Phil Jackson, fifth or whatever. He'd be like tied, having five. The Heat would have made the finals in three different decades, 2006, and then the 2010s, and then this one. So Miami left a lot on the table. That third quarter was awful. I was texting Kevin back and forth. I was like, "This is over." Kevin and I have like our text during games are just miserable exchanges, absolutely miserable. And I'm sure every Heat fan out there, we're all kind of feeling this way. Nekias, Boston's aggressiveness on the ball, I thought was the difference maker in that, and the fact that they were just screening a lot more in the zone. What can you kind of tell us about how they got back into that game, and what makes you kind of feel good about Miami going forward with this information?
It's pretty much what you said. Boston kind of brought a new energy level on the defensive end. Really crowded Miami. There were a lot of shots that came late in the shot clock for Miami just because they couldn't create the advantages that they were getting in the first half. And this is the third game in a row that Miami has just not been able to get anything going from three, which is a little bit concerning, I would say, because it's already been kind of difficult for them to create those looks for themselves. Boston, trying to help off the guy they want to help off of. They've generally done a decent job of tracking like Duncan Robinson over those handoffs. He did shake free a little bit today, but there's still been some hesitancy on Duncan's side there, kind of pumping out of shots that he could take and kind of resetting. And that's another way that Miami's getting late in the clock on some of these possessions. And that's really what we saw in the third quarter. Boston kind of tightened up, forced Miami to dig deeper into possessions. Goran Dragic bailed them out at the end of a lot of possessions in that third quarter, hitting tough shots, hitting threes, getting to the basket. But everything was so much harder for Miami. And then once Boston was able to turn them over a little bit, get some long rebounds off of missed threes, then Boston was able to run and establish a rhythm, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
I mean, that's the best quarter Boston's played, I think, maybe the entire playoffs. I mean, I'm not even counting their first round series. That wasn't even playoff basketball. Get that shit out of here. I thought that was as good as a half as they put together, and I think, this is legitimately the first taste of adversity this Heat team has felt. I mean, they played that Pacer series, they played from ahead the entire time. They were clearly the better team. Against Milwaukee, that game 2 I thought was really big for them. And once they won game 2, they were just in complete control of that series. And then once they won game 3, I mean, it was pretty much over. That game 4 didn't even matter. And Chris Middleton had to have the game of his life. This is a series finally. So they go up, they take a 3-1 lead. That was a huge game 4 for them. They played great down the stretch of that one. Tyler Hero, obviously we know the narratives and everything, how great he's been. Today, they looked in complete control. They come out of this first half. They look absolutely dominant. The Celtics looked like they straight up quit. Kevin, Celtics looked like dog shit in the beginning.
They looked like the 29 Celtics.
They look like they quit. They look like, Tatum, who had been there and when nobody else had, these are people that have been in the Eastern Conference. They just look like they completely rolled over. Miami was completely outplaying them, yet the lead was never more than like 12 or whatever. Then that third quarter happened. So I think Bam's probably a little hurt too. I mean, Jason Tatum and him. What did Jason Tatum like pull his arm off game 4?
Jason Olynyk.
Yeah, Jason Olynyk. Try to pull Bam's arm off. You're not confident at all in the Celtics? You're bleeding confidence even as they're winning.
See, I'm a little concerned about their defensive matchups. I did find some encouraging results from the zone. One, they actually consistently drove into the paint for once, and Tice obviously would look a lot more aggressive. But defensively, I'm still not sure they can check the Heat in half court just because their shooters just cause so much chaos. Like, I'm not a huge Jaylen Brown fan, and his defensive lapses off the ball, I'm not confident in him maintaining this kind of pressure on Duncan and Hero moving forward.
He's been good. He was really good today. You can't deny that, Kevin. You can't deny that.
He was.
Like
he played in his. He's great when he plays in his role as like an off-ball scorer and a cutter. There were a couple of possessions late this game where he kind of just pulled it out to ISO against Bam that kind of made me roll my eyes. But other than that, he was really good tonight.
I mean, Dragic 1 for 7, Duncan Robinson 3 for 11, Andre 0 for 3, Jay Crowder 0 for 6, Jimmy 0 for 2, Tyler 2 for 5. At least Tyler showed some life. Olynyk 1 for 2. They've got nothing from their 3-point shooters. Absolutely nothing for like 2 games. I mean, I checked the numbers during the middle of the game. In the series, the Heat they were shooting 40% from 3. I imagine this is absolutely going to kill their averages. It's been a struggle when Jay's not hitting those shots. There were a couple plays when Jay just absolutely has the ball and doesn't he doesn't know what to do with. Like, he's not shooting the ball. He's not doing anything. So I'm kind of concerned about that going forward. Brian, you look.
He had a couple of nice ghost cuts.
Brian looks so. I'm glad that chat can see. Brian looks as sad as I've ever seen him in my life.
I'm like the Eric Bledsoe tweet in like the human flush.
Can you make that your background?
I don't want to be here.
Dude, by the way, chat, Brian's like, yo, I just want to start this live stream already. I was like, well, Brian, we can't, the game's still going on. Brian's like, no, it's over. And I was like, well, Brian, people are not going to come to our stream because, they're watching the game. And Brian's like, I don't care. Yeah, chat's saying that Brian looks like them right now. Brian speaks for you guys. Brian, are you upset? Are you angry at them?
Bro, they blew a 7-point first half lead. And
That's not a lot.
They still could have fucking kept that game close. I was hoping that at least they would. I was kind of expecting them at least keep it close enough in the fourth quarter. And if they fucking lost, oh well. But I didn't expect them to get fucking blown out in the second half the way they just did. They came with zero energy. That's something you don't expect from this Heat team. You've seen them in this playoffs. That's the only game they've actually gotten blown out in fucking almost 3 months, 2.5 months. I
will say this. So I'm gonna say something. This Heat team, and I've said this a bunch. This Heat team is not the Clippers, right? They are not this Clipper team. They're not a team that's gonna roll over and die. They're just, that's not who they are, right? They're gonna be a team that I guarantee that they're gonna come back for Game 6. They're gonna play as good a game as they have. I can't 100% say that the 3-point shots are gonna fall, but I know they're gonna have a game plan. I know that the Heat are gonna have something that they can do offensively and defensively. They're gonna kind of mix up their switch coverages. I imagine that they're gonna go a little bit less to the zone after the Celtics have finally, after 5.
I mean, a little less than they only went to the zone 10 times today.
Yeah, because the Celtics really did a good job.
10? 0. If they go 0, then might as well just go straight to Game 7.
Is it 10 times?
Yes, that's what Cooper Moore had tweeted.
Ooh. Man, that little. I mean, you notice at the end of Game 5, they were really using a lot of ball screens on that. Nekias, are you surprised that they went that little zone? It felt like a lot more.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting them to go to it earlier in the game, But again, Boston came out super flat. Miami played extremely well defensively, came with a lot of energy, similar to what we saw from Boston in the third quarter. And Boston couldn't establish a rhythm, so I guess there just wasn't a need for Miami to go to zone.
Boston also brought in Hayward very early to play Tatum at center. So
Mhm.
with Bam out there, you probably would want to switch a lot more rather than just play zone.
Yeah, I think rotations definitely had a good bit to do with it. But once they went to it in the third quarter, like Boston did a much better job of getting into the middle, kind of getting into the paint, forcing those rotations from Miami. They just got a lot of easy looks from there. It it was. I mean, obviously, it wasn't a great effort from Miami on their front.
No,
Boston just
absolutely not.
Boston really blitzed them in that second half in a way that I did not anticipate.
You said they looked shook when we did the second quarter.
Yeah,
In the second quarter, when we were talking, you said that they looked shook.
yeah, said in the Heat Beat chat, like Boston looked like a team that wasn't prepared to play an elimination game, which was odd. Like you see teams like Miami's hold from three, you see them play hard. Boston just looked out of sorts in that quarter in a way that I just did not expect. But they got it together in their third.
So, Nekias, I know that we have some plays here. Do you want to? Are you ready to get to those to kind of review some of what happened today?
Sure, let's go for it.
All right, then. We are kicking it to highlights. We love having Nekias Duncan break down plays live here on our Twitch podcast. All right, so we're looking here. Nekias, you want to walk us through this whenever you're ready?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, then.
So this was early in the first quarter. Again, Miami locked in on the defensive end. If you want to rewind it. Key here is that Miami wanted to, they stayed out of mismatch situations. They were going to hunt Duncan Robinson down here to try to get him in the screening role, but instead that's going to be Jimmy Butler that's going to come up. You can play it now. So that turns into a two-man action there. You get this dig down from Bam, another dig from Jimmy Butler as Gordon Hayward tries to drive. You can roll it. And you get a turnover there. Again, just a great example of how locked in Miami was, not letting Boston mismatch hunt, and then some nice dig and recover principles there to kind of force some tough stuff for Boston in the half court. You can roll it. And this possession, Boston trying to switch. You can roll it back. So again, attention to the detail, pause it. Enes Kanter's in the game at this point, and instead of having him on Kelly Olynyk, which would have opened up some pick and pop opportunities, they have Enes Kanter on Andre Iguodala. Obviously, don't want to switch with Kanter. That's why he was on Iguodala to begin with. So Miami kind of goes away from Kanter. They're going to attack this pick and roll here with Goins driving to Kelly Olynyk. Jason Tatum's there. Kelly Olynyk's going to slip, get inside position on Jason Tatum. Great feed there, and then Kelly Olynyk gets a slam out of it. Now we get into the fourth quarter. Miami again going into that zone. That's an example of Daniel Tice setting a high screen, kind of getting into the middle of the zone. You can roll it from there. Just finds that soft spot. Daniel Tice did a much better job in the second half of getting aggressive in that zone. Nice floater. You generally live with that shot if you're Miami, but I mean, at this point, they're down 8. They need to get stops, period. So giving Daniel Tice this kind of open look is not what they want.
You know, and I do want to say something about that because that was kind of the shot that the Celtics were giving Bam all night, and he wasn't able to hit. He was really short on a lot of those. And Bam's going to be able to play between that free throw line and restricted area all he wants. And I think both teams are going to live with the centers doing that.
Ban just said his quote during his presser today. He said, "I put this one on me." He said he missed too many shots he should have hit.
That sounds like Bam. I feel like he's kind of low on the list of problems that the Heat had tonight. But I mean, good for him taking accountability.
He also said he wasn't a defensive anchor he's supposed to be. He said he felt like he was a step behind all night.
I think that, I mean, clearly the shoulder's bothering him. I don't think he's 100%. I think that he's, you know, the stat line's going to be good, but being short on all those like little jumpers and everything, that's obviously like an issue for him, and that's not like a recipe for success for them. Nekias, I know you had one more play to go through. I just kind of wanted to transition Can you still see the screen? We're working this out live, chat. Can you still see? Do I need to, let me fix the share window. Oh, we're back, baby. We're back. All right, we're transitioning back to highlights. Let's go.
Are we
right,
back? Okay.
Second Tice play that you sent. Let me see. Oh, window capture's not working. Okay, we're working this out, guys. We're almost there.
I mean, honestly, we don't need. It's just another example of Daniel Tyson attacking the soft spot in the zone. Wreaking havoc for the Heat. Again, Daniel Tyson was awful in the first half. There's no need to mince words. The open looks that Miami was able to generate came with attacking him in pick and roll, attacking him in dribble handoff situations. I feel like quite a bit of the 17 points that Duncan Robinson got in that first half was because he was attacking Daniel Tice. He wasn't stepping up on those ball screens, wasn't stepping up on those handoffs, and that was giving Robinson a little bit of airspace. And once Boston overcompensated, that's when you saw a few of those drives that Robinson got in the first half. But again,
No, go.
I was just gonna say in the second half, Daniel Tice was working offensively, especially when Miami went to the zone. Defensively, blocked a couple of shots, had some nice rotations, played a little bit more aggressively. Didn't quite come to a full trap on handoffs or those pick and rolls, but did play a step higher. That also made it tougher for Miami to create open looks. So Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown should get the bulk of the credit for Boston's turnaround in the second half, but Daniel Tice is right up there.
So, if Tice is going to be the guy to play Bam to a push, as we made fun of Dave Dufour for saying, and some other guy on The Athletic, that's a big fat L for Miami. I think, as Nekias said, like Tice had a much greater impact on the game. I do think that there's something probably bothering Bam there. We haven't even gotten into Jason Tatum's really, really good second half. I think that Miami's going to be – I think Miami's okay with that, Kev. I think that, when you look at a guy like him, if he's going to go off like that, I think you're fine. I think that you're going to take that. I mean, he's a guy that's he's a 3-level scorer. He can shoot the three. He can get to the line. He can kill you off the dribble. They put Bam on him late, and it did help. I mean, after that third quarter, they put Bam on him, and he was largely kind of reeled in, but then that opened those corner looks for Jalen.
I got 2 more BAM updates before we move on to our next topic. First one's another quote from BAM saying after dropping Game 5 Boston, he said, quote, "I play like shit, bottom line. I put that game on me, not my teammates' fault, not my coach's fault, me." And then Spo, when asked about Bam possibly playing hurt, he laughed off the notion and said that Bam is not hurt or favoring his arm.
I mean, what are they going to say? I mean, we know this organization to be no nonsense, no excuse. I'm not, I just want to remind everybody that, this is normal in a series, that the higher seeded team that's the favorite, playing for their season on the line is going to win this one. I don't think it's a disaster for Miami. Obviously, listen, we're fans, except for Nekias. We're fans. We're hurt. We're not we're upset. The Celtics are a good team. There are things that I think are promising for Miami. The amount of open looks that they generate. I think Duncan in particular didn't have as hard a time getting open today. I think that Tyler as well. They just didn't knock those looks down. I think that if you give Spo kind of this much time and information, he's going to figure that out. It's just hard, and I can sit here and I could say that, whatever, Heat in 6. I could do the rah-rah thing I did with the Bucks. This does feel different. I do think that they're going to win the series. I do think that they're not the Clippers, and blowing a 3-1 lead is going to be, pretty cataclysmic, and I just don't think that this team is going to do that. But I'm with you guys. I really wanted to come in here. I wanted to do a pots and pan banging. We had a whole thing planned. We were just going to have hordes of heapy people in this chat. We were going to do 15 minutes of hard-hitting Nekias and Kevin analysis. And we were going to have Brass and everybody come in here, just fucking rah-rah, be happy. So, this fucking sucks. Brian, there's something that I noticed today. So, because of COVID, I'm not really getting out of the house much, right? I go to work. I work on construction sites. I largely stay away from people. I pretty much go and I come back, and that's the extent of my life right now. I live with an at-risk person at home. So I went for a little drive today. I really needed to get out of the house. I wasn't feeling well, so I just went for a little drive. So I'm on this road in Coconut Grove, right? I'm kind of passing Kennedy Park, and I see this bus coming on the left side, heading north, right? I'm heading south. It's heading north, and on the front of the bus, I see "Let's Go Heat," right? And I'm not getting out, so I can't really take the temperature of how the city feels about this group of guys, this Heat team, right? I'm only on Twitter, right? And obviously everyone on Twitter always cares about the team. I mean, they cared about a fucking Dion Waiters and Hassan Whiteside team, right? So, Twitter's not a good gauge for how the city feels about it. So when I go out and I start seeing, like, the buses have "Let's Go Heat," and I start seeing, like, a lot of people, like, I'm driving around Coconut Grove, and I'm seeing a lot of people wearing Heat jerseys and Heat shirts, and I was like, oh, wow, like, this is a thing. Like, people give a shit about this team again. Like, people care. And it became real for me in a way that I had not experienced. Today was a really weird day in that sense. Like, I think there's been a couple games. Like, I'll never forget Game 5 against Oklahoma City. I remember waking up that day, Brian, and I remember thinking, this is a win. There was no way that they were going to lose that game. You know what I mean? Like, there are just some days that you have that and you kind of go around town and you feel that.
I kind of remember that day because I remember I went to party to buy vuvuzelas and posters to create signs because I was expecting to go out to like 8th Street and just start honking horns and banging your pots and pans. So yeah, I do remember those days. It's gonna be weird because I don't know what you can really do to celebrate as a city. I don't think people.
But I mean, this is all to say that, like, I don't even think that we've appreciated this run in the way we should have. I think
it's really hard.
I don't think we've taken account. Like, it's just Kevin and I texting doom and gloom about every game. You're laughing, and it's true.
Our way to fucking celebrate is literally doing these Twitch streams.
Yeah, and like they've been fun, and it's been great, and it's like I want to be here raw. I want to get you guys with the culture. I want to say stuff, but like, it is what it is. Like this, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and look in the camera, and I'm not gonna tell you that it's okay. It's not. The shit was embarrassing. Grant Williams, fucking fat ass on the sideline dancing. What was that? Get out of here, dude. You've never won anything in your life. Shut up. Sit down. You were like minus 200 per 100 possessions. Get out of here. You're played off the court by like Andre Iguodala at center. Like, who the fuck are you?
You close out your Raptors in Game 7.
Man, listen. Why is that there?
All I know is that the Heat need their 2 All-Stars actually play like All-Stars, or else they're not winning the series.
And guys, why is Jimmy disappearing for long stretches? That's the thing that, like, I'm
shit's
not
baffling, man. Like, what the fuck? I don't understand.
In the first,
like,
good.
In the first half, I thought it was over because I'm like, okay, Jimmy is finally realizing that he can get consistent penetration every single time if he just works hard on these drives. And then over the course of the game, he just stops looking to score.
He fumbles passes at an alarming rate.
As an Eagles fan, it does.
He needs to stop passing the ball. That's the thing. He needs to seriously stop. I think if they really want to win the series, I think the next win that they get, he's gonna have to go off for 40.
I saw our homies from Distance and Dimes. I think Sandy's the one that said it's like, it's all nice and good, Jimmy, but like the 40 piece has to come. I've been listening to Round Ball Rock lately. Our professional score-up Alex Toledo turned me on to any of y'all listen to Hardball Rock basketball podcast?
No, what's that?
Never. Crickets. Kev, you might like it. It's pretty funny. And they were talking about Jimmy Butler, how they're like, Jimmy Butler is the human embodiment of third team All NBA. Like, he is always exactly the 15th best player in the league. I was like, fuck, that's so true. It's like he's like third team All NBA personified. Nothing more, nothing less. He's just All NBA third team personified. And I think they're gonna need him to be a little more than that for Game 6. If Bam's not right, if they're doing this, if Jay Crowder's gonna be a no-show shooting the ball, I think that they 100% need at least second team All NBA Jimmy. You know what I mean, guys?
The analogy was like when the Spurs got away with Boris Dia on LeBron.
No.
Several years ago.
Who said about what?
When the
The
Spurs got
analogy
away with
is-
Boris Diaw on LeBron
Yeah.
is some analogy.
But like the analogy to what?
Of Jimmy just not being a consistent aggressive scorer.
I mean, but like he would even hunt Nekias. You know the play? I think it was in the first quarter, and I swear to God, I had concerns about this. He gets Kemba on a switch.
Mm-hmm.
He was operating on the left side. He gets in the paint, does this little turnaround stuff. Kemba sticks at his hip. Then he pump fakes, and then he hits a mid-range jumper. You know the play I'm talking about?
Yes.
To me, that's like, if you're not trying to bully Kemba under the basket, and if you're like popping and doing like all these little Kobe Bryant post moves for the mid-range jumper against Kemba Walker, it's concerning.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically the shot he hit over Hayward at the end of game 4, the reverse pivot turnaround or whatever. It was kind of odd because he had that possession and he scored, and then he got Kemba again on the block and he did a similar thing. He kind of pumped it, then passed out of it. And I believe the Heat ended up scoring a little bit later on that possession, but it was kind of like, Jimmy, you have to just put the man under the basket. But like, what I don't understand with Boston on that front, and maybe that's a calculated gamble on their front, they're not sending help to Kemba on those post-ups. They're very much it's like they're daring Jimmy to score the basketball.
It kind of reminds me of the way the Lakers were defending Jokic in the first 2 games. They were just like, all right, Dwight, this is all you, baby. Like, don't send the help, stay home, and if they're gonna win that way, they win that way.
That's consistently happened with Brad teams in the past, even with like Isaiah Thomas.
I think what I was probably gonna have to see in his tape is he's gonna have to see that the Heat take more advantage of those mismatches, with especially on Kemba, because that's what they were able to do the last game when they won with Tyler Hero kind of going off, and a lot of it had to do with taking over those matches when he was against Kemba. So I feel like if they really want to push this series and actually win, they need to get Jimmy more involved with this offensive scoring. They need to take over those matches against Kemba, and they need to get him off the floor. I mean, they had him in foul trouble, and they still kept him in the game. Had they attacked a little bit more and been more aggressive in the paint, they could have gone off the floor, and who knows what happens, because he was kind of the reason why they started coming back in that third quarter.
When that guy gets cooking, gets left to right, gets in his bag, gets in his step back.
They basically were able to get every single screen, and he was able to drive into the paint whenever he wanted to and get that mid-range off. You can't really do anything if you're not switching off. Like they weren't trying to switch off the ice. So
that's another thing that Boston did that I thought was really interesting. They weren't switching Tice as much, and they were willing to have him drop, and I think that really, really, really made a difference. Also, like I think him helping off of Bam, and when Bam's not involved in the pick and roll, him helping off of Bam and then Hayward cutting off that easy dump off pass, that was huge. There was a play with Tyler Hero. I wish I had the clip. I should have asked Nekias for it. He beats his man, gets to the rim, Tice steps up to help, and then Gordon Hayward immediately seals off that easy dump off pass. So Tyler Hero had to put the ball up, gets blocked by Tice. It's little things like that. I'm not too worried. I'm not too concerned. Chat makes a lot of good points, by the way. It says, do we blame the Marlins? Karmic Bead 7193. We should absolutely blame the Marlins. This town can't have 2 good teams. Okay, Marlins? You gotta not be good. This is Heat time, okay? This season doesn't even count for you. It's like a million teams make the playoffs. Like, go away. Also, chat, I'm not getting married. I will not reverse Brian's marriage jinx. I'm not getting married. Not in a pandemic. Crazy. I'm not worried, but I'm also worried. Kevin, your text messages, go back and forth.
Your text messages say differently.
Yeah, my text messages, I always think they're going to lose. I'm horrified. Chad is asking why Solomon Hill didn't play in the second half. That's a damn good question. He gave them, Nekias, legitimately good defensive minutes.
He did.
That pocket pass?
I think when he was in with Iguodala, it let Boston get away with playing Cantor. And maybe that's why Spo decided, okay, maybe pulling for another shooter like a Linux.
I'm not saying this is a perfect stat, but Solomon Hill, team high +2.
That's a pretty big deal.
I mean, come on. Team high +2. I think Olynyk playing was interesting. He only played 4 minutes. I wonder if they're going to go back to that. I kind of wish they did. He was 1 for 2 from 3 and went really nothing. Nekias, do you agree with me? If Jay's not giving you anything, Andre completely shrinks the floor for them. You got to at least try a little bit more Olynyk.
Yeah, like I feel like Jay Crowder he just didn't shoot the ball well. Like I think he was fine as a defender, fine as a rebounder. Like I don't think he was I don't think he was like a net negative on the floor. He has to make shots. I do agree that they need to go more Olynyk. If like we've seen Grant Williams at the 5 for Boston, we've seen Robert Williams. Didn't seem like he got much playing time tonight. I don't have the box score in front of me. They went to Enes Kanter again tonight. I feel like once you go to a center like Kanter or Williams, Kanter just can't defend in space. Robert Williams is athletic enough to do it, but he doesn't know how to navigate space yet. You have to get Kelly Olynyk on the floor. I don't think you play him and Andre Iguodala at the same time because that just gives Boston the ability to kind of hide whatever center that is on Iguodala to keep them out of pick and roll. And you get into a situation like tonight where Jimmy Butler and Bam got in early foul trouble. You needed a little extra punch of offense. Goran Dragic is there, Tyler Hero's there. But Boston is athletic enough to kind of at least make things tough for them if they kind of settle into those isolation situations. So having a guy like Kelly Olynyk to create those pick and pop opportunities, that gives them a release valve. And I think Miami needed a little bit of that tonight.
What do you think's a big adjustment? And by the way, Semi Ojeleye, 0 minutes. That's a huge loss for Miami.
God bless.
Huge. Yeah, Kevin's smiling, bro. That shit sucked. I want as much. Semi Ojeleye this series is Pat Connaughton. Like I want them on the floor. When Pat Connaughton's on the floor, when Semi Ojeleye's on the floor, I was like, oh boy, here comes the run.
I saw that the Heat, when Kanter checked in and was guarding Iguodala, they had Iggy still be a screener, and he slipped a couple times and made the right play on 4-on-3 or 3-on-2 situations. And that was kind of it. Like they just stopped doing it.
The more if Kanter can give them good minutes, Miami, I think that has to be one of the things that Miami prioritizes when they watch film. I did not think they attacked Kanter as much as they should have in pick and roll. I thought he got away big time, standing in the corner, not doing anything on defense. I think that's a huge win for the Celtics. He doesn't. I thought Jeff Van Gundy said it great on the broadcast. Like he makes them so that Miami can't really switch that many actions if he's the screener, right? So then, when they do it, Jimmy Butler was getting sealed down low, all that stuff. And then Kemba in a drop has way more space. And that's what we're scared of. We're scared of point guards that could shoot off the bounce, right? In a drop scheme. And that's what Kemba could do. And I think Bam has largely done a good job when he switches on to Kemba. Miami has been great switching on to him all series long. I think that they've been exceptional at that. Kanter really changes that dimension, even if it's just for 10 minutes or whatever that he plays. But Miami cannot allow them to. The Celtics cannot be even in Kanter minutes. It's unexcusable. I think that, you can live. If Jason Tatum's going to fuck you up, whatever. If Jaylen Brown's going to hit it. Jaylen Brown's hitting Nekias, what was it, 58% from 3? Said in the chat today for the series. It's crazy. Whatever. Enes Kanter cannot be fucking surviving on the floor. Right?
Yeah, you have to hammer it. It's similar to the Kemba thing. You saw that in the first half of this game. I mean, but you have to bully the mismatches that you have because coming into the series, what you would see, even if you feel like Miami was going to win the series, you have to give Boston the edge in individual shot creation. Like Boston's going to have an easier time of finding mismatches than Miami will. So the few mismatches that Boston concedes, Kemba small, Boston starts switching more. That's where you get Jimmy on the block. If they're going to play Enes Kanter, you have to hammer those to the point to where Boston has to make an adjustment. And I think that was kind of huge. I mean, Semi Ojeleye didn't play tonight. Miami's pretty handily won those minutes throughout the series. Whenever Boston does concede an advantage, you have to hammer it to the point to where Boston can't go to it anymore. And they didn't do that with Kansas.
So Brad really shortened the rotation today. I mean, Brown almost 40 minutes, 39 minutes. Tatum 42 minutes. Marcus Smart 40 minutes. Gordon Hayward 30 minutes. Kemba 28, and it would have been more if not for the foul trouble. And then Wanamaker played 4. Williams 8, right? Kanter 10. By the way, they're losing those Williams and Wanamaker minutes, so Miami's doing a good job not letting those guys play. And by the way, guys, that's the other angle of this series that we have not talked about, right? So Spoelstra's got to widen the rotation in this game. Played Derek for a little bit, played Kelly, right? He's put Solomon Hill. Solomon Hill, so weird. He's played minutes. I love it. Guy's the best. If this series is going to go deep, which I don't think it will, but if it does, that's a lot of fucking minutes without that weird between game 3 and game 4 thing is gone, right? So the Celtics, if Brad's gonna play these guys 40 minutes a game, 40 plus minutes a game, especially if they're gonna take Enes Kanter out of the series, I like Miami in game 7. If we're gonna, I mean, fittest, toughest, nastiest, well-conditioned team in the NBA, I don't think that's a small thing, and I think that Brad has done a good job of monitoring these guys' minutes. But if they're gonna, Derek did play 17 seconds. You're right, Chad. But still, he played, and that was a stupid ass foul. I'm so sick of Derek. I'm so sick of. Listen, Derek's a really nice guy. I've covered him, super nice. I don't want him around. Solomon Hill is there. We don't need Derek anymore.
I kind of don't want to re-sign him in the offseason.
That's Bam's homeboy. They got him.
I really don't give a fuck at this point. He can't play.
Brian, who are you out on?
I'm out on him. I want Solomon to stay just because I can keep him on the pod.
He's a lifer. He's a heat beat lifer. Solomon Hill has to stay.
Myers letting him get the fuck out of here too.
Okay, Myers gone. So far we have Derek and Myers gone. Who else is Brian?
Honestly, UD needs to retire.
Whoa, Udonis was yo. I gotta be honest with you. Udonis has the most heart in that third quarter on the Heat.
Yeah, it still didn't fucking work. So
that might be
out,
soliloquy for you,
guys. What would you say to that?
Yeah, they ended up losing that lead even more after that speech.
I have absolutely nothing to add.
Absolutely nothing to say. All right, so Chad.
No, they need to get KZ minutes. They really. I want to see what he has, and it's really important because he's on I think he's on a three-year deal on a biannual whatever. So they need to get him playing time because his rookie contract is going to be up in like 2 years. So they got to see what they got with him.
So listen, we are first in line in the free KZ movement. I think Chad's asking me to find a Bumble girl to get married. Man, in this economy, do you think I'm gonna go out there and date in a pandemic on Bumble with fucking strangers? What do you think this is? Who do you think I am? Do you think
Chris Silva can get the fuck out of here too.
You think I'm trying to endanger my family for a fling? How do you think this works? There are way too many people dating here. I see like people on my Instagram. I was like, y'all going on like dates with strangers, like that? In this economy?
Here for a good time, not a long time.
This one girl that I did date on Bumble, so we like chat occasionally. It's friendly and cordial, and then she's like posting, like she's tweeting about a date. And I was like, holy shit! I was like, girl, calm down. We're all gonna die.
You're gonna have a better chance of finding somebody on Twitch stream chats.
Twitch stream chat, take me out. Somebody, we'll have a virtual date. If you want, we can have a socially distant date. Like we'll go pull up at we'll go. So Panther Coffee has like curbside pickup. We'll get Panther Coffee and then just talk from our cars with masks. But like we're in our cars.
Drill 1159 says we're not gonna have a team after everybody just cut.
Listen, chat Brickolo 32. I've had plenty of Bumble dates. Not that they're good, but I've had them.
They just go to different schools, you know.
I've had like one good Bumble date. No, it was the same girl, but like I've had like one like decent dating app experience.
Bachelor number one, where would you take me out on my first date?
Is this what post-game shows are often like?
I mean, when we lose, the last time we lost, we talked about which Nickelodeon show was better. I mean, what else? How many times can we complain about the Heat effort in the third quarter?
Your take was awful there.
Which one? About Victorious?
Yeah, that show's not better than Zoe 101.
No, that show's good. You're wrong.
It's not better than Zoe 101.
Victorious is wrong.
Nothing's better than Jake and Josh.
That is a fact.
Listen, chat. Oh, I don't even mention that I cover basketball. I actually think that's kind of embarrassing. I would never do that. I don't mention that I watch anime. And I don't.
Wait, how many days does it take? Does it take for you to get to anime talk?
Oh, so the last girl I dated, I said on the first date. I did tell her on the first date.
That's because I remember you gave us her at, and then I ended up doing some. You found. I found.
Brian found that she was sympathetic to anime. So sympathetic, but I normally don't say. I normally don't say that I cover because I'm like, I have a Twitter account, and it's like, it's a whatever. It's a Twitter account that has like a small but visible following.
Johnny,
It
comes down to this. There's nothing more seductive than a man with a podcast.
No, it sounds lame, right? It's like, oh, what do you do? Like, oh, like I work in civil engineering and I have a podcast. I have 2 podcasts actually. I have the anime. Nekias, do you mention that you like do basketball stuff? Well, you're way better at it.
I mean,
it's his full-time job, so I would hope so.
Well, now, yeah.
That's a pretty. That's a pretty big part.
How many dates before you mentioned that you're a member of Miami Heat Beat?
Like, that's all part of the conversation of what I do. It's tell them what I do. And they're like, okay, where do you do it? And it's like, okay, these are the places that I write/pod for. Like, it's just all part of the same conversation.
Do people think it's cool?
Well,
I mean, it's kind of skewed for me because like I generally go for women that enjoy sports/basketball, so that kind of mutual interest has to be there.
Have you ever met somebody in the wild, like not from Twitter, but like just like out in the open that knows who you are?
I don't think so. Like, I mean, I've had someone recognize me from Twitter, but like, I don't think like
Because you're at that point. I actually have a friend that I didn't know liked basketball, and I found out that he liked basketball, and I because like he had like a private like personal account that's like small, and I was like, "What, you follow Nekias?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that guy's awesome." I go, "Oh, that guy's my friend." "Oh shit, really? He's really smart. He's way smarter than you." I was like, "Yeah, I know."
Thanks.
Who's that?
We're approaching.
Who's that Karens in Paris guy?
Who's that? That's a great name. It's like that's been your best Twitter name ever.
Yeah, like I just can't change it now. Like,
Nah, you can. It's too good, especially if they win the title with that.
It's the second best is Iman's old at.
correct.
Yo, there are some inside ass jokes in the chat that are really funny. Ask her if she likes Shimbo. That might be the most inside thing ever said on this podcast. I am a member of the Deuces podcast. Actually, the Deuces podcast kicked me out for embezzling of money. Isaac talked me into it, and Justice and Jordy, and it didn't work. So yeah, that's what these post game shows delve into after losses. So
All right, Nekias, what's the one adjustment Mine has to make if they really want to win this series?
on our way out.
Ooh, buddy. They have to hammer mismatches. Like, if Cancer's gonna play, put him in drop, put Kelly Olynyk out there, make him defend in space. If Kim was on the floor, attack him on the block and go quick. Like, Miami played with a poor pace in the second half. They got to get into their stuff early, force those rotations, get good looks. Beyond that, like, make threes. That would solve a lot of their problems.
Get buckets.
There you go.
I have a non-basketball question.
Yes.
So, who does Jimmy primarily sell his coffee to?
It's Goran. 100% Goran.
Okay, so I'm guessing it's just his teammates. It's not like bubble staff. It's not.
Well, I mean, there's nobody left in the bubble. Who's there left to sell to? He shouldn't sell the
Okay.
Celtics. How much
Sells
of a capitalist
No,
is Jimmy
I'm
that he'd
thinking-
sell to the enemy?
I'm thinking like, what if he sells coffee to the Celtics and like sneaks in laxatives into the coffee or something?
Do you think there are people that want like milk substitute? You know, like I won't drink whole milk with my latte anymore. Like I'm not a heathen, right? It's almond or coconut all the way. Oat if I'm feeling fancy. Do you think Jimmy has? See, if we get Solomon Hill, these are the things we need to ask. Solomon, does Jimmy have?
I already have one.
milk?
I already have one question for Solomon. Whenever he's on the pod,
Chat.
I need to ask. We need to ask Solomon next time he's on the pod if Spo has brought up the burn a boat story at all.
Oh, is next game a burning of?
That has to be the burn the boat story. That has to be it before the game.
No, but
That'll be the first time he'll hear it, right?
I think that we are burning boats prematurely. I think that the burning of the boat should only be for elimination games. I think that burning of the boat when you're up 3-0 like we were doing against Milwaukee, that's bullshit. We don't have to burn the boats yet. You know what I mean? You burn the boats when you're facing elimination.
Well, we got burn the boats next game. I still
No, we don't. That's not a burning of the boats game.
It's gonna feel like one.
Listen, chat. What do you mean that's the whitest thing? I'm Colombian, okay? We take coffee seriously. I'm Colombian and Italian. By the way, I'm not even gonna say my hot take on Cuban coffee. I'll say that if we lose again, I'll say that after the next loss. You're not. You guys aren't ready for my Cuban coffee takes.
What, Cafe Bustelo?
So chat's asking what the burn the boat story is. So is it Pat or Spo? Who tells the story, Brian?
It's Pat.
It's Pat. So Pat Riley
It's
talks
Pat,
about.
and then it's been handed down to Spo. It's like your grandpa that tells you a story and then you tell it to your kid one day.
It's a hand-me-down ass cliche story that Pat Riley told his team, and then Eric Spoelstra, now coach, tells the team where it's about Spanish conquistadors that came to do colonization stuff, right? So they get to the island or Florida or wherever the fuck they got to, and they are ready to colonize, right? And then the conquistadors are like, they're in battle, and the general says, we need to burn our boats. And they said, well, why do we need to burn our boats? Because we fight or we die. So there's no way home. We have to win because we can't retreat. So Pat Riley tells this in a sort of motivational boost to the team, which I've heard players have. I think Dwayne Wade said he falls asleep, or he's like, "Coach, you've told this one before." So Twitter has appropriated the burn the boat story, and we just tweet burning boats facing elimination.
Isn't
Victory Twitter was fun.
I mean, didn't Coach Tony tell us that at the end of that story, didn't everybody die?
I was about to say the backstory on this doesn't sound great.